Welcome to the best podcast on the planet.
The big question that we're going to ask this particular episode is what life lesson have you learned from a difficult circumstance or something that's challenging? And we're all three of us, Seth, myself, Dale, and Holly. We're going to share a story of something that we have learned, hopefully, or we're in the process of learning. But I also really want to hear from you, because when you share your story, when you tell others what's happening and the lessons that you've learned, the really awesome thing about sharing a story is that you probably are going to help somebody that is going through something similar. You may just end up giving them a unique perspective, maybe helping them to understand a little better about what's going on. Maybe give them a little hope, maybe give them a little encouragement. It may be nothing more than just putting a smile on somebody's face because, well, they're going through something difficult and they need a smile. So in listening to us tell our stories, if you feel inspired to get in touch and let us hear your story, please send me an email. Send us an email to sethmilamedia@gmail.com. And I promise you, one of us will get in touch with you and make arrangements to hear your story. And you never know, maybe you'll end up on the podcast as well.
You mean one of our listeners can be in one of these Brady Bunch squares like we're in right now?
Precisely.
That'd be cool, huh?
So that brings me to another thing. If you're just listening to the podcast, you're only getting half the story here. We are now publishing the video of these podcasts on our YouTube channel, which I wonder what the YouTube channel is called. Could it be Seth Mila Media on YouTube? Just between you and me, I think this Seth Mila guy kind of is infatuated with his own name.
Is it media or meaty? Which one is it?
It's media.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so there it is. And so we're going to share a little bit from our personal lives of some life lessons that we have learned as a result of going through a difficult or challenging time, right? And I know, guys, that this may be digging a little deep into the heart and digging a little deep and might be a little bit uncomfortable. But I think one of the things that is very, very important for us in these podcasts is to be real and to be honest with those that are listening, so that they know that, hey, it's not the bright, shiny, happy show. We're not all unicorns and puppies. This is a podcast about real life and trying to figure out the pathway through some of the difficult things. We're going to have fun too. We're going to talk about the good things and the fun things, but there's going to be times when we have to talk about things that are uncomfortable, and we all need to be honest and genuine when we're doing this, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Holly is just so excited.
I am.
She's
cold. Excited.
She's cold.
I'm cold.
I know. You're in the part of the world where it's extremely cold. It's been
I had to shovel snow tonight.
Oh, did you really?
I did. Well, I discovered that we have a city ordinance where you have to shovel your sidewalk. And we've been leaving it. Oops.
Oh, I guess
no.
I guess it's to keep from people getting hurt.
Yeah, So
I said, when does Ralph get out of jail? In the morning?
He helped.
He usually gets out in the afternoon. Ralph, of course, is Holly's husband, for those who aren't aware of that. All right. Who wants to go first? I'm going to go last. Okay.
Of course, because,
he's got a
Seth Mila.
He's got a close.
Well, Seth Mila wants to go last. I'm just saying.
Just start talking about yourself in third person.
Okay,
it'll be fine.
Ask the question again, and then I'll go first.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
The question is, what lesson have you learned? What life lesson have you learned from a difficult or challenging experience?
Okay. It took me a while to think about it, but this has to do. And Seth, you were around at a time when my mama passed away, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
Very close to my mom, and I always thought, way on before she even was close to being passed away, you always think, well, I'm not going to be able to live without my mother. I don't want to go on without.
Right.
And you had that happen when you were a teenager. Your mother passed away as well. And it just so happened that afterwards, and I know it's God gave me a sense of, I don't know how to describe it, what it's all about. Like, I miss, as bad as I miss my mama, I was glad that she wasn't here anymore suffering. And I just knew it was just a peace. I knew she was in a better place. And like I said, it didn't take away the sadness, all the sadness and everything. And that's just what I learned. It's like, that's probably one of the hardest things you can ever go through is losing someone in death, and you survive, You
know what? I think I'd have to agree with you on that. My mom passed away many, many years ago. And yes, I miss her. But when I miss her the absolute most?
Holidays?
Yeah, holidays, but milestones in my daughter's life. When Madison was just a toddler, she found my parents' wedding rings in a box. And she came just, doot-dee-doot-dee-doot-dee-doo, wearing my mom's wedding ring. And it was like, there might be some dust in this room right now, Yeah. When somebody passes, if they are a Christian, then our belief system is that they pass on into being with God, which is paradise, which is absolute joy. And that, for me, in the passing of my mom, it was the same with, I think the same with you, is that she's not suffering. She is amazingly happy, the most joyous she's ever been. And while I might be selfish in my missing her, she's absolutely extremely happy.
Right.
And I guess, so if you had to put it in a nutshell, what would you say is the lesson that you learned from that? What, if you had to just put a label on it?
Well, you can do anything through God who strengthens you. That's what I learned. That's a actual, you can say it all day long, but, until it applies to your life, then that's a whole different story. But if it weren't for God, I would not have made it through the whole ordeal. That's what, and I just know that for a fact.
Practical application of what we believe. And that's fun because that's when your faith actually gets real. It's like you can read about it, you can think about it, you can hear other people talk about it, but when it actually happens to you, then it's like, oh wow, this is something I can actually count on. Oh, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, all right. What about you, Miss Holly?
Well, I feel kind of shallow now after hearing that.
Oh,
so,
no,
no, I'm just kidding. But this is more of a recent one, and I guess that's why when we started talking about this, it was just fresh on my mind. And I know you two will not believe that I did this, but I took on too much, and as an overachiever, I know, gosh,
yeah.
So this past, I guess it was like fall-ish time. So, for a few months, I was just doing way too much. And then got sick, and I knew it was too much. And I remember praying at several points, and it was just one of those things where you're just like, I know this isn't working, God, and I have no physical way of fixing it. So you're just going to have to do it at some point, or I'm just going to have to, just muscle through it. And so that's what I was doing, because it was like, there was no end in sight. There was no way of changing all of the things that I had committed to. So I just kind of had to muscle through. And thankfully there, towards, like October, November, towards the end of the year, some things changed and I could see the end in sight. And I was like, okay, that was dumb of me, for one, but several things I learned was, one, God still brought me through it.